We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Vikings Uncensored. I'm Rhino, and with me, my co-host, the People's Champion, Lance. How you doing, Lance?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well here. I'm pumped. I'm excited. This is our first show. We're gonna talk some Viking stuff, and we're gonna go over a few things. And we got a real special surprise for later on in the episode. So everybody, please stay tuned for that because you're gonna enjoy it. Big time thing for a first show.
Right. Big news.
Big thing. And we're pumped to be able to bring this to you. We're not gonna tell you what it is yet because we want, we're gonna build the suspense up, but I think you guys are gonna like it later on here. So keep posted for that. So as this is our first episode, we're gonna kind of get just a brief overview of what's gone on so far in the off season for the Vikings, and then we'll kind of move into some free agency stuff and kind of go from there. So, first thing, we've had quite a bit of turnover in the coaching staff this year. I mean, we've had old man Kubiak retiring once again, and continuity Clint coming in to take over.
At OC.
Yep. So, that's be interesting to see if he just follows in his dad's footsteps, or if he
I hope he kind of draws his own path, young
guy. Hopefully he can bring in some fresh ideas and kind of
innovation for sure. Yeah,
update things a little bit, and it'll be a big question as to whether or not Zimmer will go for that kind of stuff. We all know what he wants. He wants to run the ball and damn everything else.
I'd like to see some good balance. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah,
balance. More than you got to do more than just running first down and move the ball.
Well, and the biggest thing, on second and third and long last year, second long especially, I kept track in several games, and we were running on
Draws.
Second long. So,
a draw
60-70% of the time. We did it the most of anybody in the league.
Second and 20, and you're running a draw.
Yeah, exactly. So then it's 3rd and 17, and we throw to Chad Beebe 5 yards short of the sticks on third down. Yep. So we punt,
Yep.
But yeah, so hopefully, I'm going to reserve judgment on Clint until we see what he does here.
Right,
but,
right.
We'll see.
I agree. That's a good route to go for sure with Clint here. Just see what the guy brings to the table, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So then also we had former tight ends coach Andrew Janoko now moves to the quarterback coach to take over.
Also a former line coach as well, a co-line coach.
Yep, he used to be on the O-line too. The one that I really like is Keenan McCardell coming in to coach wide receivers.
That's going to be a huge pickup.
I think that was a great signing. I mean, the guy played in the league for like 17 years,
and he was a quiet star for sure. Yep. He was huge there in Jacksonville next to Jimmy Smith there on the other side.
Yep. And he played for several teams, played for a long time. And he was also the wide receivers coach for one Stephon Diggs at Maryland.
Yes.
So,
nice
sure. I think he's going to be a good coach to have to get Jefferson on, keep him progressing. And, we saw what Justin could do last year. I think he, with somebody like McCardell in his ear, I think he can, take the next step and be even better this year.
I think he's going to let these receivers, play a little bit more loose, and he's not too old of a guy, I don't believe. I think he's still pretty young. So I think he's going to be a good players coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, and everything I've read, from the other places he's been, his players love playing for him and everything else. So I think that was my favorite signing of the whole.
Me too, as well, on the
of the
coaching staff, for sure. Yeah,
Yep.
I believe I believe that's gonna be huge.
Yeah. So then we got a couple other ones. Carl Scott is our new defensive backs coach. He was defensive coach at Alabama last year, so he moves up. Paul Gunther, who took over from Mike Zimmer as defensive coordinator in Cincinnati when Zimmer came here, he's now the senior defensive assistant / run and get
the Dom
Zimmer.
Capers role from last year, basically.
Right, the Dom Capers role from last year. Yeah, basically he stops and gets Zimmer's coffee and donuts in the morning before he comes to to Egan. And I never did figure out what Capers did last year. I don't know, maybe Gunther's
I honestly believe we brought Capers in to figure out how to beat Green Bay, or how to stop Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I think
the thing with Capers was his defense was terrible in Green Bay. So I don't, and
right.
he ran a 3-4, which I don't believe we ran once last year.
I don't believe so.
So yeah, like I said, I really don't know what Capers did, but he's gone now, and we brought Paul Gunther instead. And then of course, the other major coordinator signing is we ditched our god awful special teams coordinator Marwan Malouf. Malouf got fired, so he's out. And now
I never was a fan of Malouf from day one. I was never a fan.
I wasn't either. So now we got a new Ficken special teams coach.
Ficken special teams coach.
So I mean, we're going to run that.
Kickers.
We're going to run that punt into the ground. We're just going to let everybody know right now, because I mean it's
there. You got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean it's Ficken perfect. What are you going to do?
It is Ficken, man.
So I mean that kind of wraps up the coaching changes we've had this year. So now the big thing that's been going on lately is, of course, free agency's now been going for about a week. As we record this on Sunday night. The big things, from our cuts, Riley Reef is gone, which was kind of a surprise, but kind of not, because, we all figured that he was going to have to restructure in order to stay here.
Right. But they asked him to restructure last year as well. I mean, he obliged, I believe, but begrudgingly.
It wasn't really an ask last year. That was part of that whole catastrophic trade that we did for Unique Ngakoue. We basically told him, you're going to take a pay cut or you can go look for another job,
right,
so that we can play Renton in for 6 weeks.
Yep.
So and they tried making nice by giving him that $1 million bonus at the end of the year that he missed because he had the COVID protocol stuff. But
he did play pretty well last year. I
mean, that last year was probably the best that Reef has played since he's been here, I thought.
Right. I agree. Yep.
But now he signed a deal with Cincinnati, so there's no chance of him coming back. So, now we have an opening at left tackle.
I know there was a little bit of speculation on him possibly returning after all this nonsense.
Yeah. But, that's obviously not going to happen now. Kyle Rudolph was our first cut.
I think that was a little bit late on that.
Yeah,
he's not late on that cut. He should have been gone last year. I mean, I love the guy. He's he's been here for so many years, but we should have let him go last year.
Yeah, and the Vikings have always had an issue with keeping a guy a year too long. I think it seems like
it's a loyalty thing, I believe, honestly.
It is, but and when it comes down to it, it's a business, and you got to put the business first. And
yep. Sometimes it's hard to do, for sure.
It is. It's really hard to do, but and now Rudolph signed a contract with the Giants, so he's found a new home. Then
I wish him all the luck over there.
I do too. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, he was a hell of a guy in the community.
It'll be really interesting to see how New York utilizes Rudolph, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they're trying to build around, to give Daniel Jones and stuff. They just signed Kenny Golladay. What was it, yesterday?
That was a huge pickup for them. Yes.
So they've got another wide receiver, and that helps us a little bit because it takes Golladay out of Detroit. So,
yeah,
and then also Dan Bailey, we cut him, which
anybody pick him up?
Not that I've seen yet. Mike Zimmer with his kickers. We brought in a guy from Cleveland. I can't even think of what his name is right now. I'll have to look it up, but
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but
we'll see what happens there. And it wouldn't surprise me if they pick up another, undrafted free agent in the draft or something, so we have a kicking competition, but
it would be decent. It would be a good idea. I would just like to get somebody in here to where I don't have to pinch my ass every time they fucking try to boot the ball through the uprights.
well, I mean, as Vikings fans, we all have kicker PTSD, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, but
Yeah.
so
Unfortunate,
then
I swear.
it is. And then also Shamar Stephan was cut. And then our two of our guys that were free agents, Anthony Harris, he signed a 1-year deal with Philly. So he's not coming back.
Well, I kind of feel the same way about Anthony Harris as I do about Kyle Rudolph,
Yeah. Well, I mean, 2 years ago, Anthony Harris was ranked as one of the best safeties in the league. And then last year he just fell off the face of the planet. Once he had that 11.5 million, I think he got under the franchise tag.
Mhm.
And then now this deal he signed with Philly, I believe, was for 5 million. So he took a hell of a pay cut.
Yeah, he did.
Sign of the times, with the
Does that
cap.
say something about us, or does that say, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is, the cap coming down and you're kind of taking what you can get kind of thing. I mean, there had been some rumors that Harris could possibly return, but there again, that's not happening.
Right.
And then the other one that we lost is our RB3, Mike Boone, signed a deal with Denver.
Okay. Yep.
So, our former assistant GM, George Payton's over there now. So he sniped one of his old
good
guys.
Things about that. Heard some good things about that over there.
Yeah. I mean, the buzz has been really positive about Payton over there, and
He was here for a long time.
He's been Spielman's right-hand guy for a long time, and heard a lot of stuff that, the real brains in the draft room and stuff has been Payton.
We've lost a lot of guys that have went on to do amazing things in other places.
Yep. And I'm worried that, here again, we probably kept the wrong guy, we should have kept Payton and not Spielman, but I guess time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yep.
Time will tell.
So, and then of our other guys, we did a restructure on Adam Thielen, Anthony Barr, and Britton Colquitt. So, they gave him a little more
Can't
guarantee.
believe we asked their punter restructure.
Well, when you gotta dig through the couch cushions to find enough money to sign players, it's.
I will say that I believe that we did the best we could.
Yeah, so. I think so. So now on to the guys that we brought in or re-signed this year. A couple of small signings. We re-signed Rashad Hill. I believe it was to a 1-year deal.
Somebody that's been here.
Yeah,
for what seems like forever, but
yeah, it's like 6 years, I think, something like that. But
he's good when I would never trust him in a starting role, but he's good when you ask him to come in for, either a sub package or to come in relief for somebody that gets injured for a couple.
Yeah, he's a backup swing tackle is what he is, and he's good at that. And I mean, right. And I'm,
perfect.
I don't mind the re-sign there because he is good depth, and that's something we lack in a lot of spots. So
Yep.
Then the big re-sign is Mr. Fabergé egg himself, Chad Beebe. So the Vikings medical staff was probably dancing around the training room there after that one because they can order new equipment and everything else because they know he's going to be back to.
Surprised it didn't sprain his wrist signing his contract.
Well, yeah, he's going to be out until OTAs on that one. So, but who else are you going to get to catch the ball 5 yards short of the sticks on 3rd and long? I mean, so
jump out of bounds.
Yeah,
or dive out of bounds for sure. Yeah.
Yep. So he's back. Now
he had a couple big plays last year.
He did, but
good job, Chad.
We salute you, BB. So then now on to the guys that the free agents that we have brought in. The first one is linebacker Nick Vigil. He played 4 years in Cincinnati for Paul Gunther, which I think is probably one of the big reasons why we did bring him in.
That makes sense.
And then he played a year with the Chargers last year. Over his career, he's got 2 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries, 4 sacks, and like 345 tackles.
So he's got five seasons in his pocket.
Yes, I believe
Okay,
so.
so he's a vet.
Yeah, I mean, basically he's the replacement for Eric Wilson. I'm guessing, I don't see with Barr staying, I don't see Eric Wilson coming
I
back.
see Eric Wilson going the other way,
Yeah.
other places, and I can't blame the guy.
No, and I mean, and I haven't heard a lot of buzz about him going anywhere. So, I mean, I would assume there would be interest in him someplace, they're going to.
Possibility of him come back there's a possibility there, I would imagine.
Yeah, but I mean,
we'll see. I wouldn't want to if I was him, I guess, but we'll see.
I'm not going to hold my breath on it, and I'm guessing he's probably going to end up somewhere else. But then on to the two big signings we've got. First off,
literally big,
yeah, literally big. The
huge
defensive tackle Delvin Tomlinson from the Giants. Now he's more of a nose tackle size than he is a 3-tech, but they're saying they're going to
play 3.
He has played 3-tech, and he has played even some defensive end.
Yeah.
Now,
ideally, I don't want to see him out there at the end rushing.
No.
I would keep him at. I want to see him at 3-tech. That's me personally.
And I think that's their plan. And it's. For at the very least, it's really going to shore up the run game, and he's not. I mean, he's only got like 8 sacks in his career, so he doesn't get a huge amount of.
I watched him tape on Tomlinson, and he is disruptive.
Yeah,
he is very disruptive in that. He collapses the pocket consistently.
Yeah, and it's not always sacks; it's pressures and stuff like that. So I mean, if he can do that. Then I think, regardless, he's a
lot of the times, we've gotten lucky over the course of the last 20 years, bringing in tackles that have had success.
Yeah.
And who's to say that he's not going to come here and have the same type of success that some of those tackles that we brought in the past have had.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Yep. And, having him next to,
big Michael
Pierce on the one side, and whoever we have out on the end on the other side, I expect a good year out of him, and I like the signing. I do. The only thing I have a question.
It's going to be fresh. That's for sure. The fresh faces in those tackle spots, and I believe we're going to see right away the immediate difference between Shamar Stephen and Delvin Tomlinson play.
Well, like last year we had Shamar Stephen and Jaleel Johnson in the middle, and we could have just had you and I out there in the middle.
Right. God awful. It's going to be night and day between those 4.
Right. If you've seen that hype video that Michael Pierce has put out there,
it's
that guy is a freaking beast. He's jumping around. He's throwing.
It's me hot and bothered for sure. I can't wait to see those two line up next to each other.
So tighten that cord. Drive through it. Drive up. There you go.
Yeah, so I like the signing. I'm still a little concerned about us being able to get a consistent pass rush out of the 3-tech, but we might be able to.
A lot of it depends on who is going to be playing that left or right side.
Yep. And we've got guys like James Lynch and some of these young kids that we've signed over the last couple of years that can maybe come.
The dude that we brought in, the white dude that we brought in from, what was it? Was it Lynch?
That was
Blake Lynch.
Lynch was the guy.
Yeah, James. Okay, yeah, the dude that you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
we got Blake Lynch too as well, linebacker.
Yeah, he's a linebacker. Yeah. So we've got two Lynch. We've got 2 Delvins. We've got 2 Lynches. We've got actually little tidbit here. There's only been 2 Delvins in the history of the NFL, and we now have both of them.
Right now we have both of them.
So that's
the recipe for success.
It's got to be. So okay, then beyond Tomlinson, then the other big signing, which this came out of left field. I didn't even hear anything about us being interested is,
Yeah, right.
is Patrick Peterson, cornerback. He played for 10 years down in Arizona, and,
Seasoned,
over,
but
yeah, over
he's
his
still
career,
got that speed, I believe.
yeah, over his career, he's been one of the best cornerbacks in the league for a long time.
Consistently.
Yep. Now, I mean, he's 30 years old right now. I think he'll be 31 before the season starts.
Yeah.
But, I think they're looking more for, somebody like him to step in and be kind of that Terrence Newman kind of.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
The kind of mentorship type stuff, like he did with Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes. They're hoping that Peterson can do with Gladney. And
I just kind of hope hopefully his play doesn't, kind of fall off like Revis and some of the better corners in the past, that they kind of hit their peak and then they kind of. Josh Norman, for another example, was another good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's 36 or up in that age.
He's still kind of young.
He's still 31. He's on the downhill side of his career, but I think he's still got a little bit of gas left in the tank.
Do you think they might ask Peterson to play a little safety?
It's possible. I think their main push is going to be to have him as the other outside corner, Dantzler on one side, him on the other side, and then move Gladney into the slot where, he played quite a bit of slot last year.
Right. He was our main slot guy almost.
Yep. And I think that's going to be kind of his natural position than playing outside. So
another little bit of the rumbling was Mac coming back in free agency.
Mac Alexander. But now after the Peterson signing, I haven't really heard much beyond that. So,
okay.
It's still possible, I suppose. But, I think being we got Peterson, I think the Mac Alexander thing kind of the ship has sailed on that one. But,
right.
We'll see, I guess.
Well, if you got Peterson, and unless you shift Peterson to safety, then you put Mac or Gladney one of them would have to be the dime back, and would they want that spot? I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, So, but I mean, that's basically, that's everybody we've signed. Like I said, we're filming here Sunday night. That's everybody that we've signed so far. I mean, there's a couple other guys that we're talking about, that there's some rumored interest in. One is Will Parks, safety from Denver, and kind of come in to fill that Anthony Harris spot. He's
a vet. What was it, 5 years you were saying?
Yeah, he's a 6-year vet, I think, or
5 to 6 year vet.
5 or 6 year vet. Yeah, he's he played for Denver for 5 years, and he played a little bit for Philly last year. So I don't know if he got cut and then Philly picked him up, or if there was a trade or something. I'd have to go back and look on that one. But
right.
He's got like 4 interceptions in his career, and 250 tackles, something like that. I don't remember what it was, but when you've still got Harrison Smith on the one side, you don't need an all-pro. It's nice to have, but as long as you've got like a league average safety next to him, I think we'll be fine. And I think Parks kind of fits that mold.
Right.
So,
and guys play differently in different systems too, so you don't really know, until you get here and you see the guy.
Well, right, and and that's the same thing with Patrick Peterson. He's trying to drop off a little bit. Well, he could come into Zimmer's defense and light the fire back up again, and play like
light it the thick up.
Yeah, like Woodson did. When he went to Green Bay, he was considered washed. With the Raiders, and then he went to that team from Wisconsin and kind of rejuvenated his career over there. So, we'll see how that one goes too. But then the other guy that I've heard rumors of mutual interest for is guard from the Chargers, Forrest Lamp.
That is big.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some injury issues and things like that, but I know I was pretty high on him when he was coming out of the draft.
I love Lamp.
If he can stay healthy, he's a huge upgrade. A huge upgrade over Dozer.
Well,
that's not saying much. I know.
My mug here is a huge upgrade over Dozier, so that's our only hope is that because as it sits right now,
our guards are just. Well, we need somebody there at guard. Right. I mean, Cleveland did good, but I want to see. I kind of want to see what how Cleveland looks on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody assumed he was going to be, we drafted him to be our left tackle of the future. So does he move over there now?
That's right. We did.
If he does, then we have 2 guard spots we have to fill because, I mean, I think we're pretty much in agreement. Neither one of us want to see a Dakota Dozier or Drew Samia starting at guard again next year.
Oh man. Oh, ugly.
Yeah. And Samia, I'm really disappointed with him.
I was really disappointed when he came in and just flopped.
I mean, because he
didn't look like he knew what he was doing.
No, I mean, when he played at Oklahoma, the guy was really good there. And I mean, he had a ton of nasty and everything else.
He was decent. And I'll tell you why. It's because he had 4 other linemen that were all Americans around him as well.
That doesn't hurt. Yeah. So, I mean, you get in here and you're playing with a dumpster fire offensive line. I guess that doesn't help anybody, but so hopefully we find, we have to address at least the guard spot.
The offensive line has to be addressed.
Oh yeah. So
in general,
regardless, we need 2 starters on the offensive line, whether we're moving Cleveland over and we need 2 guards, or if we're keeping Cleveland at right guard and finding another left tackle. We'll kind of see, we'll see how that goes.
What else we got there on the free agency?
I mean, that's pretty much it from what I've heard for now.
Okay.
The next big thing, that everybody but the Vikings are talking about is the whole Danielle Hunter situation.
Everybody's talking about it.
It was reported last
Stresses
fall
me to thick out
by, and it's legitimate sources like Ian Rappaport and stuff. It's not, Joe Blow Vikings Central or, some random dude that has no credibility. I mean, it's the big guys that have been saying this now.
I've heard Danielle Hunter putting up taking down his Twitter pictures of himself or whatever from his social media. And then I've heard about Zimmer talking to him and telling him to put it back up. And
yeah, I mean, him and Zimmer had a phone call last week, I believe, and I believe
there's a huge mutual respect between the two.
Yeah, there is. I mean, Hunter's already said, he loves playing for Peterson. He loves playing for Zimmer.
Once again, there's a business aspect of the game.
Right. And, he
deserves to get paid.
He does. I mean, he's grossly underpaid for what he is. I mean, he's without question a top 5 defensive end in the league, I think.
And the thing is that he's still getting better.
Yeah. I mean, he's 26. I mean, he was the fastest to 50 sacks in NFL history. But right now he's with his pay, he's currently 20th in yearly average and 15 in total contracts. So, I mean, he is grossly underpaid for what he is.
There's a means for his madness.
There is. I mean, now on the Viking side of things, he's coming off a significant tweak on his neck, right. So, there's a little apprehension there to make sure he's back to 100% before you start giving him a whole ton of guaranteed money and stuff. But
I think he's going to come back and he's going to feast. That's just me.
I think he will be too. It's, neck injuries scare me a little bit. Look at Mike Hughes. I mean, he had one, now he's had.
I think a lot of taking it easy last year had a lot to do with what was going on, in the world.
Well, I mean, it's possible. And I mean, I would rather him take the year off, get it right, and come back and be as good as ever, and
not affect him down the road, hopefully,
Right. Than trying to rush it and come back and not being the player he was.
Dang, for sure.
So, I mean, that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And
yep,
it's going to be until something's done, whether
and like you're saying, back injuries they could be tricky.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, that's the big thing we're going to need to keep an eye on here going forward for the next few weeks to see how things go. But
I think, in my opinion, he's here next year. He's in purple and gold. I don't think he goes anywhere unless we get a Khalil Mack like trade.
Well, I mean, you're going to trade him. You're going to have some kind of massive deal like that because he's too good to just give away for nothing.
I know we gave Randy Moss away for nothing.
Yeah, but that was a whole different thing. That was because Red McCombs was too freaking cheap to pay him, and he was
all Red McCombs.
Yeah. don't get me started on Red McCombs.
In Texas.
Yeah. So anyway,
But
look, so I mean, like I said, the Hunter thing is kind of the big thing to keep an eye on. Looking forward, the draft is coming up April 29th. So we're just over a month away. So I mean, what do you think is our biggest needs that we need to address once we get in there?
Well, it depends on what we do with that first pick, honestly. We got the 14th pick in the draft. Comes to us and say you have like Trey Lance on the board. Do you take him with Kirk on your roster?
If it's me, I would. Will Spielman? I don't think so.
Right.
Rick and Zimmer are.
We're in an ideal position to bring in Trey Lance to sit behind Kirk Cousins for 2 years and then let him get into the game. It's perfect. It'd be ideal.
Yeah.
An ideal situation.
I think so. And I mean, fairness and disclosure. I mean, I'm an NDSU alum. I'm an NDSU fan. I go to the games, everything else. I mean, I've seen every game Trey Lance has played, and the kid is talented. I mean, he's kind of a high risk, high reward kind of thing. I think he shouldn't, wherever he goes, he shouldn't start.
He's the type of quarterback that the league is kind of starting to lean towards.
Yeah, he is. He's a hell of a runner. He's
an improviser.
He's got a good arm. He
doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the football.
No, I mean his first year starting, he threw for 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
It took him a long time to throw an interception.
Yeah, and then ran for 14 more. He finally did throw 1 interception in that non-conference game that the Bison played last fall. But
right, the COVID throw together game, kind of
the showcase game basically to
kind of silly, but whatever.
Yeah,
so you gotta do what you gotta do in that situation. So
right.
I
would be surprised if he's there, if they took him. I think they're going to be, being they've done a whole lot of addressing.
If he is there and they don't take him, there's going to be a lot of phone calls coming in to Ricky.
Yeah, there is. And trade back isn't a bad situation here because, there's going to be a lot of the quarterbacks and some of this other stuff going off the board early. So
at the end of the day, Ryan, we got Kirk Cousins here.
Yeah.
So whether we get our quarterback of the future this year, we're going to be having the same talk next year if we don't.
Oh, absolutely we are. But I mean, my opinion, we're pretty sure Cousins is going to be here now because not only is his 2021 contract guaranteed, his 2022 contract is now guaranteed to the tune of $45 million cap hit.
Which we'll also be hitting on a little bit later on.
Right. So, but anyway, I think, at least at that being, we've hit defense pretty hard in free agency.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah. But honestly, I think, at least early on, we have to address the offensive line, whether it be a left tackle or a guard.
In one of those early rounds, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say the first. We don't have a second rounder, so which freaking sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think
that's another reason why it'd be a good idea to move back in the first is to pick up that second
round pick. Now, I think a lot of it's going to depend on what their plan is for the left tackle. If we're going to take, either Cleveland or even Brian O'Neill and move him over to the left tackle spot.
That's kind of been what the rumbling's been the last year and a half about Brian O'Neill either kicking over to left tackle or do you want to mess with something that's not broken?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I would leave O'Neill where he's at, but if their plan is one of those two, then, the guard spot becomes even more critical. Now at 14, I don't really think that there's a guard that I would take at that point. That would be something where I'd be looking to move back. Now, if you're looking at maybe an edge rusher at 14,
depending on what goes on with the Neil Hunter.
Right. So, I mean, with guards, you've got, somebody like Elijah Vera Tucker, who's a guard or a tackle.
I love what I've seen out of Tucker.
Yeah, I think he's going to project better as a guard at the NFL level.
A day one starter at guard.
So, I mean, if we pick one at 14, he would be probably the only guy in the first round that I would take. to
I
play
like
guard.
the guy. I like the guy at Northwestern too, with big athletic boy out of Northwestern.
Yeah, Slater. He's a tackle though.
Okay, I think you can move him into guard too, though, and he would be all right. But
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take Slater though, your plan is to play him at left tackle. The otherwise, I mean, Wyatt Davis out of Ohio State, he's probably the best pure guard in the draft. But I don't see him going into late first round, probably somewhere mid 20s or early second round.
right, early second round to end of the first.
Yeah. So I mean, it all depends on if we move back, if we stick around, if we do whatever. And then if we're looking at tackles, of course, Panay Sewell, we have no chance of getting because he's going
to be gone within the first 5-10 picks.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise you've got Darasaw out of Virginia Tech, who's going to go relatively early, probably top 15.
Big bad athletic guy, dude. For sure.
Slater, we mentioned out of Northwestern, he's going to go early.
Another Mr. Nasty for sure. Yeah.
And if we do end up with a second round pick somehow, there's always my guy Dylan Radens out of NDSU. He
would be all right.
I would be
okay with him.
He's a beast. He can play multiple positions, and I know
he can move people.
Yep. And I know Rick Spielman was up here for NDSU's Pro Day last week. So, and the two main guys there were Trey Lance and Radens. So I'm guessing they got a pretty good look at both of them.
I see Dylan and I see like Reisner, and they remind me a lot of each other.
Yeah.
Probably
a fair comparison. Okay. So now we got a new segment, of course, new show, new segment we're going to bring to you this week, where we're going to highlight some of the most mind-boggling or questionable, just weird stuff that we're going to see, whether it be from the Vikings or the NFL in general. And we call this segment our weekly.
What the hell?
So our what the hell pick for this week is our competitors in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears, with their quarterback situation.
Bears.
So, of course, we all know, that Mitch Trubisky is no longer with the Bears. They let him go, and he signed a backup job with Buffalo or someplace. He's a backup someplace now, but
begging groceries.
Yeah, no, he's a Quick Trip now.
Mm-hmm.
But so last year, the Bears brought in Nick Foles. They traded a 4th round pick and Foles' contract is $20 million guaranteed to bring him in. And he really wasn't very good.
Money.
But now this year they signed Andy Dalton to bring in. But the puzzling thing about us, they could have had Andy Dalton as a free agent last year. And not done anything with Nick Foles. So now not only do they bring in Dalton this year when they could have got him last year, they still have Nick Foles on the roster, who's going to
be playing behind Andy Dalton.
Probably be Dalton's backup, and he's going to be making more money than Dalton.
Right.
And they gave up a 4th round pick and again $20 million guaranteed. So
I honestly look at like hopefully a quarterback competition going on there in Chicago, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There.
As far as I'm concerned, Ryan Pace doesn't know what the hell he's doing in there, and I think this there again, like our guys are on the hot seat. The GM and coach over.
I think Chicago's going to look horrible this year.
Yeah,
and I think Detroit's going to overtake Chicago,
and it's very likely that both Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy could be gone at the end of the year.
Maybe that's a good thing for us because we can't seem to handle Matt Nagy very well at all.
Yeah, Nagy's pretty much made Zimmer his bitch the entire, every time he played him, other than the one game this year. And coincidentally, Nick Foles was played that game, and we did beat him. But then, Trubisky came back and beat us. So we never beat Trubisky. So as bad as he was, it's probably not a bad thing that he's gone.
Trubisky, I could never stand the kid.
Yeah,
smug little bitch.
It's just been a comedy of errors over there with their quarterback. They traded up to take him when they could have gotten
over Mahomes
or Watson. They could have had either one of them. Thank God that the incompetence.
Didn't they make him the second pick?
third, I think it was. They had the fourth. They traded up to the third to get him. You know, it was that they were competing with themselves to pick him because I don't think anybody else was going to grab him. You know, but so anyway,
maybe they go after a quarterback in the draft this year.
it's possible. I mean, I don't think there's anybody, you know, where they pick unless it's maybe like a Mac Jones or somebody, you know, but
I hope
I
not.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right. We teased this earlier in the show when we started out, but now it's time. We have a big treat for you guys. You know, this is all unheard of for somebody in their first show, but
We got lucky. I gotta say, we got lucky.
I mean, I was surprised when I reached out that he accepted, but you know, it's great that we did. I mean, it's huge for the show.
Yeah,
But,
obviously checks this snail mail because you
yeah.
mailed him a letter.
Right. You know, and I didn't with as busy as he is right now, I didn't expect to get him on here, but like I said, we got a real treat for you guys tonight. On the phone with us, we have Vikings General Manager Rick Spielman. Rick, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking a little time to speak with us tonight.
Thanks for having me on today.
Rick, there's been a lot of rumors involving Kirk Cousins, and now after Friday, and knowing not only is his contract for 2021, but also 2022 is now fully guaranteed. Are the Vikings listening to any trade offers at all?
Yeah, I think Coach Zim put that to bed when he spoke after the season. Kirk Cousins is our quarterback. I know there's a lot of rumors floating around out there, but Kirk Cousins is our quarterback. We felt that he played very well and probably the best he's ever played down that stretch last year in the way he played. So, Kirk's our quarterback going forward, and look forward to him another year in his system. And excited for him and what he's going to bring to our team next year.
So, Rick, you've had a few of these. We have no intentions of trading Percy Harvin moments over the years. Do you really expect us to believe that if somebody called with a massive haul for Cousins that you wouldn't trade him?
No.
So what is Kirk like off the field? Are you guys close?
Probably my closest friend in the world. And I talk to him almost on a daily or every other day basis.
Well, doesn't that set up some kind of a conflict of interest when it comes to contract negotiations and things like that?
We never crossed the line on what he had to do from an integrity standpoint or me giving him any insider information that I wouldn't give anything else. So,
Rick, a lot of people get the impression that this team would rather be decent instead of taking the risks to win a Super Bowl because you are scared of having a bad year or two. Is that true, or is this team truly trying to win a Super Bowl?
to me, if you don't walk into your building every day and that's your number one goal, then you're in the wrong business. And our goal and objective every year is to come in here and try to win a Super Bowl.
Okay, so what exactly is your plan for finally getting a Lombardi trophy for this team and its fan base that sorely deserve it?
Everybody has their own different philosophies on how they're going to build a team. And if you go at what you're talking about, kind of an all-in approach, the one thing you can't predict is what happens from an injury standpoint. Every year, your goal, is, and like everybody has the same goal, but if you can get into the playoffs every year, it gives you a chance to have a chance. And if you happen to get hot that year, or this play happens or that play happens, it keeps you going forward. And then it just clicks on that 1 year. We got close a couple years ago when Case Keenum was our third quarterback that came in here and got us to the championship game. And we just, didn't get it over the hump in Philly that night.
So your plan is to be decent and then cross your fingers and hope you get lucky. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes.
As long as you can give yourself a chance to get in the playoffs, and then let's see what happens from there.
So Rick, how's the draft process going? Are you getting anxious knowing that you have so many holes that we have to fill on this team, to be competitive in 2021?
I think everybody has anxiety on draft day because it's the unknown.
We're going through that process right now.
You see some of these kids that played in 19, you said, wow, he didn't play very good in 20. But then you saw a couple kids that popped up and say, yeah, he took another step forward in 20.
Those are extremely difficult. Those are the nights that you sleep on the couch because you can't and stare at the ceiling because you know how torn you are personally from the decision.
Are there any specific positions you think that you will be targeting?
We got to get some help on the defensive side of the ball. The offense was rolling pretty good last year, but getting a Daniil Hunter back, getting a Mike Pierce back, and Anthony Barr back. But we also got a lot of work to do from a contractual standpoint on more than one player.
Rick, it's no secret that you like to trade back into the draft and accumulate 7th-round draft picks. How many do you think you're going to be able to get this year?
I'm trying to get to 10 to 15 if I can.
10 to 15? That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
You're allowed to have an unlimited amount.
Rick, we've heard that Daniil Hunter has told the team that he wants a new contract and probably isn't going to show up unless he gets it. Can you tell us what was said during any conversations you've had with him?
He asked how my mother was doing, and so I filled him in on that and caught up on a lot of family things, but nothing business related.
So there wasn't anything contract related at all?
Yeah, we're not going to talk. I don't want to talk about any of the business that we're doing. You know, in general terms, I know we have some challenges facing us.
Okay, fair enough. So now with Riley Reef gone, you're obviously going to have to find another lineman, you know, on top of what we already needed at the guard position. You struggled with drafting linemen early on in the draft. I mean, kind of whiffed on a few of them.
I think it's 6 now.
So what exactly is your strategy when it comes to drafting offensive linemen?
Well, yeah, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the draft right now. There's still a long ways to go on.
A lot of it could be just luck of the draw. Yeah, that's our job. That's what we do, and that's what you're trying to do pretty much 24/7 is improve your roster. But strategically, we have a plan in place.
Well, Rick, we want to wish you the best of luck this year. You certainly got a big task coming up ahead of you.
Yeah, well, well, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and thanks again for taking the time to talk to me and Rhino. We'd love to have you back on the show again sometime. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, well, that's about all we've got for this week. We want to thank everybody for being a part of our inaugural episode of Vikings Uncensored. We really appreciate you guys coming and watching us.
I hope you guys had a good time listening to our opinions and whatnot, and our, just thanks for watching and spending time with us.
Exactly, and we love to hear your comments down in the comment section below.
Any questions you got?
Questions, comments. We get some of those. We'll address those in future episodes as we go along here. And we'd also, really love it if you, subscribe, like the channel. That helps us out a ton. Lets us know that you guys like what we're doing, and for us to keep going at this, because we're both pretty fresh on this kind of stuff. But we had a great time tonight.
Both love Vikings.
Thank you guys again for everybody for watching and taking part, and we hope to see you again next week. So beyond that,
you think we should give our buddies Drew and Ted a shout out?
I think we should do that too. If you like what you saw here, or even if you didn't like what you saw,
right.
We check out the Vikings Report with Drew and Ted Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. Those guys are a wealth of football knowledge. I mean,
They're about right here.
Yeah, we're the B team. They're the A+ team.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way of putting it.
But I mean, they do a lot of old school stuff. So if you're a fan of the stuff from back in the 70s and stuff like that, they do a lot of good stuff there. I mean, it's a great show. We highly recommend you guys checking them out too. So, but once again, thanks to everybody for watching. Take us out, Lance.
Thanks again for watching, guys. We will see you in a week, Friday. Mark it down.
See you guys.